Hello and welcome to this episode of the Ranting Atheist podcast. Today we'll be listening to the conversion story of a Nigerian atheist, an anti-theist in fact. They do not like religion and I'm like, yes, this is a like mind. Like, religion just needs to fucking die. But the one thing that blew my mind meeting them is you will not guess their age. They are nothing like their generation. Fucking hell. Like, mad respect for them. So please just listen. I won't spoil the show, but that's all I will say. So if you haven't subscribed up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube and other places you'll find podcasts, check out the show notes for links you may find useful, and Discord as well, and other means of communication. So now let's go and listen to the conversion story of Tavian. Hello Tavian, and you are welcome to Story of an Atheist. How you doing now?
I'm good, bro. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for coming on to share your own story, because
waiting we want to now.
See, no matter how we argue, we go explain. We go explain tire. No, these people, they don't go listen to us. So that story we go just talk. That's why I just said that it's better let us be sharing story. We can argue later about stories. People need to understand how. So that's why it's so easy to, when you determine people come and say former atheist, it's easy for you to know. When you just ask, okay, tell me how you became an atheist. That's why they not expose themselves. Straight.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It is possible for an atheist to revert back to religious belief. Yes. It's not impossible, but it's just very, very rare. And again, it depends on what led you to reject religion in the first place.
No, because if it's like emotional reasons, which is valid, that is the what will take you out the door. It is now to stay out. You need to stay out for logical reasons.
Yeah.
You can't just come out everything emotional. You will go back faster than you came.
Yeah. I mean, there has to be a well-reasoned, concise reason for why you left. It has to be a conclusion that is solid, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Because if you are just there, you just like, I've gone back. And that's why some people were now saying during this election, like a lot of atheists, people will become. I'm like, no, please, don't become an atheist because this election. Please.
How the hell does that even make sense? Why would an election make you become an atheist?
Because God failed them after their prayer.
That's just silly.
No. The real trope is who hurts you? Somebody hurt you in the church. That's why you became an atheist. That's the trope. And I'm like, there are people that is true, but you realize that is not all. They want to die on that. You say, somebody. I'm like, this is the problem with people. You jump to conclusions. When atheists want to argue, they ask you questions to understand your perspective first before they now tackle whatever you said. But you have already made up your mind and you just start throwing conclusions back as in without even asking a question.
It's very difficult for deeply religious people to understand why people would want to leave the fold. And especially if they haven't experienced it, I can understand why they will just come up with something. Oh, you must be mad. Something horrible must have happened to you. And that's why you left religion. And that may well be the case for some people, but it certainly wasn't the case for me. So there you go.
It's usually, to me, I see it, I've chalked it up as a defense mechanism of their own belief, because they feel like if this person can not believe, what's stopping me? Especially if it's somebody that's close to them, it feels like a threat. So in order not to feel that there's something wrong with what you believe, they look for how to just explain it away.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. So enough of them. Let's know more about Tavian.
Sure. What would you like to know?
Yeah, I would like to know your location, age, if you like. If you don't do whether Gen Z, Millennial, Gen X, or
I'm Gen Fossil. I'm 60. So Yeah, I was born in 1963. So,
I am
sorry, go on.
I'm honestly speechless.
Everyone says that, especially when they see me.
Yes.
Yeah. No one believes my age when I tell them.
I believe that you just by your voice, you talk. I was like,
no one believes me. My personality, and I'm just who I am.
Wow! This is going to be a fun.
Well, I like to talk, so yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do for a living? What do you do
I work in microbiology at Imperial College Healthcare in London.
Oh yeah, no wonder we they see all the things with the hammers or and like this.
Yeah, I like talking about disease, don't I?
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Wow, I'm still blown. I'm still like, wow.
Yeah, you're talking to an old man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So when it comes to this religious spectrum, what do you identify as? Is it agnostic, irreligious?
No. I to be honest with you, I don't even like calling myself an atheist, because to me, calling myself an atheist is almost like giving some credence to the thing that it's like giving some credence to the theism that I actually that I've discarded. It's like saying I don't collect stamps anymore, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
I'm a non-stamp collector.
Yeah. So, but if anything, I would say I'm probably an anti-theist. In the sense that I just dislike religion intensely. And some more than others, I have to admit. Some religions, I'm like Jainism and things like that. I can say, they're pretty harmless.
Jainism doesn't hurt anybody.
No. In fact, that's one themselves. Yeah, that's one of the main fundamentals of their ideology. But the Abrahamic versions, I dislike intensely.
They know they stay one place. They mind their business.
No, it's not even that. I just dislike the dogma intensely. I think it's very, very anti-human, and the lofty position that it's kind of carved out for itself, I think, is obscene.
It's beyond obscene.
It's anti-human. It really is. Anyway,
they have humanity in a bondage.
We'll get to that.
They've held humanity in a bondage, like those two religions, those two especially, they have the humanity on a chokehold. Is that one of them?
Yeah, well, it's I suppose because of the power of the past and the power of history, and the power of colonialism and the interaction of different human populations with each other. I mean, it could have easily been something else. I mean, let's face it, if the Roman Empire probably hadn't, legitimized Christianity,
fighting with Thor worshippers and co.
Well, it could have been Mithraism.
Damn.
Or we could be talking about Jupiter and Mars, and so who knows, and Saturn, who knows. But yeah. But anyway, sorry. What was your first question again? So what was it you asked me again? Sorry, I've kind of lost.
No, we have answered every question so far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We are just going along. Yeah, it was what you identify as, and you're Freddy anti-theist, and I like that because I am also one. Like fucking religion, man. It's a cancer on humanity, but we are healing little by little.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I do believe that. At some point in human history, I can understand why there was a need for it.
Yes, there was a need.
And I also...
We don't need it anymore.
Well, I wouldn't say we're grown up. We're not actually grown up yet. I would still say we're not grown up. I would say our species, we're still like teenagers.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Well, you think about it, I mean, Homo sapiens are only 300,000 years old, and dinosaurs roamed the earth for 150 million years.
Holy
so that
shit.
kind of puts it into a bit of perspective. Where what was it they say? If you divide the timescale of our planet into a 24-hour clock, humans only turned up the last second of the last minute just before 12 midnight.
And to feel like the world was made for us.
Well, it surely isn't. You know, this is the thing.
Yes, now.
You know,
like the fact we need houses, that we need an enclosure to hide in, is the first sign that this earth wants to kill you.
and it's done so numerous times, even before we came along. You know, our planet is a very, very dangerous place for life. People don't understand this. You know, in my line of work, like we laugh when humans say that the planet belongs to us, because it doesn't. And like we were discussing before, the planet belongs to microbes. Most of the organisms that you cannot even see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how quickly COVID, you know, kneecapped everybody.
Like historic events, like. And
COVID was nothing compared to some of the epidemics and pandemics we suffered in the past.
Like it was not as bad as the Spanish flu.
No. Well, the Spanish flu killed an estimated 100 million people in 2 years.
Hey.
Smallpox killed an estimated 300 million in the 19th century alone. The Black Death, which is a bacterium, killed at least 1/3 of Europe. And I can keep going back further in time.
Damn.
So the history of pandemics is a sobering one. You know, the Roman Empire suffered at least 2 or 3 that we know of, and it killed a whole bunch of people. And who knows what happened before we started writing stuff down.
Yes, that's exactly. Before, a lot of shit has gone down before writing was invented.
I mean, there is an argument to be, there is a compelling evidence that actually we didn't really have massive pandemics until fairly recently, because we just didn't live in large enough groups.
Okay.
Obviously, the invention of agriculture, we started living in cities and bunching together, and we started domesticating animals, because most of the pathogens that infect humans came from animals. Because they just saw a new host now.
So, let's explore.
It's like a squatter looking for somewhere to live. And he used to live in pigs. And so all of a sudden the humans turn up and say, Willie, let us try. Maybe we can live here.
Mm-hmm. And human,
that's essential.
And our immunity that doesn't know what's up.
There you go. You get you got that in one. Our immune system, more often than not, is like a blind man with a gun. Stevie Wonder, shoot everybody. That's how our immune system behaves sometimes. That's how our immune system. Do you know that COVID, most of the mortality and the problems from people who suffer from COVID is actually their immune system overreacting to the presence of the disease. So you would have something called a cytokine storm, where basically your immune system doesn't know when to do enough. So it's it's like giving somebody a shotgun to kill a mosquito. You know?
Disaster.
Oh yeah.
We need to do another discussion on this whole let people some scientific. We need to do a scientific room on.
Oh yeah. We can do one on malaria. It will blow your mind.
Oh yes, we need to do that.
I love malaria because it's fascinating. But anyway, let me know.
Has the vaccine been?
Well, there's a vaccine that apparently is about 70% effective.
Okay.
You know, malaria is very, very difficult to kill because it's a shapeshifter. Oh. So it shows itself to your immune system being injani. So let me not speak Yoruba just because of people who don't understand it. Yeah, it's like malaria is like a ninja. So we call it a shapeshifter because when it enters your blood cell, it will show one shape. And when it enters your body, it shows a particular shape. Then it goes into your liver to hide. And while it's in there, it changes shape so that when it comes out, it's a completely different shape and it knows how to hide. so that your immune system actually thinks is part of you.
It has adapted to human beings. Fuck. It has adapted to human beings over the years.
Well, of course, there are 5 different strains of malaria that infect humans, and the one that kills most people is called Plasmodium falciparum, and that's the one that kills most people in Africa. Most of the people that die of malaria in Africa are actually Nigerian children under the age of 5.
Fuck.
It kills more of our children than anywhere else in the world. And the biggest problem is that it's not the mosquito that's the problem, it's the malaria parasite that the mosquito carries. But this parasite is perfectly adapted to live inside humans. It can only live inside humans and mosquito, and that particular species of mosquitoes, those particular species of mosquitoes. So it's almost like it's only got a ticket that will allow it entry into the female Anopheles mosquito and the blood and liver cells of a human being. So if a if a mosquito that's carrying Plasmodium falciparum bites another animal, say like a dog, nothing will happen. That parasite will die. Because he hasn't got the tools to enter the blood cells of a dog. This is where evolution really actually explains disease beautifully, because the parasites, most of the parasites that infect humans actually came from other apes. Plasmodium falciparum came from gorillas. We know that its closest relative is another malaria parasite that infects gorillas. You know, so we'll have to do another episode on disease, because it's very, very interesting. But the reason I enjoy talking about malaria is I use it as an example of why the idea of original sin is insanely stupid. No, honestly, it's insanely, when you understand, it's insanely stupid. You know, if someone stood in front of me and said such a thing, I would punch them. You know? It's when you understand disease, bro, people that really understand how disease works, how microbes infect humans, and how, for example, when you find ways to defend yourself, the microbes also evolve countermeasures. And they're talking about it's so
clear with COVID variants. Like,
of course. Evolution's a bitch.
Come on, man.
Because basically,
let's shift back to religion before we go.
Let's shift back to
tangent. It's with me.
I know. Go on.
They bust my head. Like, So let's go to your religious background. Give us from your early days of religious experience.
My earliest religious experience obviously were when I was in Nigeria. For many years, we didn't actually attend church. As I remember, I think we started going to Celestial Church of Christ in 1977.
That church is that old?
Oh, Celeste's been around since the 1940s.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And that's when we started going to church, because one of our neighbors was going. And you know how it is in Nigeria. We lived in a block of flats. And we were all newly arrived from the United Kingdom, so everybody kind of wanted to do what everybody else was doing. And one of the families started going to the church, and obviously the story was, they're very powerful, they can see visions and what have you. They pray a lot and blah, 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 blah. So my dad first started going. My mum didn't want to go at first, and then my mum joined later on. And to be honest with you, I actually enjoyed the experience because the music was amazing. Because obviously I'm musical. The music in Celestial Church was just amazing. It's beautiful. And you get that euphoria of being in a large group, and it's almost like you almost convince yourself that all this stuff is real. And so I must admit, I enjoyed the music. I used to read the Bible, and I had doubts, but it wasn't anything that I really gave some thought to until kind of like my later years. Yeah, because I think I was about basically. If we want to go on to what actually happened, I was a believer until the age of 14. Then my dad bought me a book called El Cid. El Cid was about a Spanish knight who fought for the King of Castile in the, I think it's probably the 13th or 14th century in Spain against the Moors.
A true story.
Yes, it's mostly true. Yeah, there was a film made by Charlton Heston called El Cid. Brilliant film, actually. And so this guy actually existed. I think it's Rodrigo de Bivar or something like that. I can't remember his full name. But it was a fantastic film. And my dad gave me the book, and it was such a fantastic book to read. But the one thing that I took from it was the Christians were killing the Moors who were Muslim. And yet they all claim to worship the same God. And so I was curious because I was like, why are these people killing each other if they claim that they're worshiping the same God? So as obviously as a child, I was like, okay, you know what? I think I know what happened. I think I know that Christians and Muslims basically just poisoned God's message. And the real truth must be in the Bible.
Okay.
So I decided to read the Bible.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, well, that was pretty much it, really. It took me 9 months. And I remember at the end of it, I was so confused. I thought, okay, you know what? Something doesn't add up here. I need to read it again. And so I read it again. And
any particular stories that were striking?
Well, a lot of them. But the first thing that baffled me was obviously the debacle in the Garden of Eden, and the idea that God put two people in a garden who who had no knowledge of good and evil, and then a talking snake came along. And I remember thinking, wait a minute, snakes don't talk.
What's going on?
And even if they did, how exactly would two people who are newly created would have had to teach themselves how to talk, right? Because that's how you learn. You learn to talk by copying your parents.
Yes.
Or the people around you.
Repeat what you hear.
So what happened? Did they teach themselves how to talk, or did God teach them how to talk? Did they then invent the first language, right? Yeah. And the snake also learned this first language, because how the hell would they communicate, right?
They just arrived.
So exactly, they just got there. And I'm thinking, so the snake came along and apparently said, oh yeah, don't listen to what the old man says. Just eat the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil.
But it should have been like, who the fuck are you?
Well, I mean, let's say they might not even say who the fuck are you, because they might just be curious. Because clearly they've never seen a snake before.
Yeah, but it's only God that they've been interacting with. They're like, who the fuck?
Exactly. Even that in its own, you're thinking, how the hell did they even have any kind of communication? Was it telepathy? How would telepathy even work if there's no language?
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
I forgot about magic. So anyway, the beginning of the Bible was a problem for me, was the fact that these two people couldn't have known the ramifications of what they were about to do, because some rope type animal told them to eat something. Then they ate it, and then God came back and he was angry. And because he was angry, he decided to punish them, and not just punish them, but punish all their descendants. And that's actually where my problem started, because I thought, wow, that's just really...
It's unfair. Really, what the fuck did I do?
Yeah, that's really, really wicked. But obviously I was 15 at the time. I was more interested in, because I was still convinced that I was confused and I'm missing something. But the more I read, the more confused I got. Then the idea that was it Cain killed Abel, and then God had to put a mark on Cain's head so that nobody would hurt him. And I'm thinking, who the hell is God trying to protect him from? and then he goes somewhere else and he finds a wife. I'm like, who the hell did he marry? Who the hell's in the land of Nod? Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking about all this stuff. Then I get to Exodus and I'm reading all this stuff about the Egyptians. And I remember thinking, the Egyptians are also supposed to be descended from Adam and Eve. Why is God so pissed with them? Why has he got chosen people to the exclusion of everybody else? I mean, the Egyptians are obviously also descended from Adam and Eve. And what's going on? Why do the Egyptians have different gods all of a sudden? How did that even happen?
The story no straight at all.
Do you understand what I mean? And then when the whole idea of, I'm going to send Moses and Aaron to Egypt and ask the Egyptian king to free my people, but then I'm going to harden Pharaoh's heart so that he refuses to free my people. That's actually one of the stories in the Bible that I will never forget how I felt when I was reading that. When allegedly Yahweh is saying to Moses, I'm going to send you to go and ask this guy to free my people, but I'm going to make sure that he refuses to free my people so that I can show my wonders and signs. And I remember thinking, this is fucking insane.
And I was actually argue, like, you think that particular scripture always pissed me off. You see, like, they always argue that it's Pharaoh that hardened his heart. Then God just stopped it.
No. Listen, I have a Bible here and a Quran, and I keep snippets of bits because I remember reading, go and ask Pharaoh what I've asked you. But the passage is there. I can even look it up on my phone. But I will harden his heart so he will refuse to let my people go. He's already telling them before they even got there. And according to the story, even when Pharaoh agreed, the Bible tells you, and the Lord hardened his heart again. So going back to your initial question, I just had so many problems with, in particular, the Old Testament, which is why I had to read it twice. But the great thing is that by the time I finished reading it the second time, I was absolutely convinced that not only is this not a book dictated by any God, but even if it was, I want nothing to do with it.
But you didn't read New Testament now. Why will you leave God just like that?
No, of course I read the New Testament. I read the whole thing. The New Testament is just like an acid trip.
That's it, guy.
You know? So especially the latter part of it. I mean,
oh God.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. That's like,
I need John's dealer. Fuck.
That's like eating magic mushrooms. But to be honest, I kind of, there's bits in the New Testament that I actually liked. And because I thought, Jesus is kind of, it was almost like he was
a dick, he's a douche, he's an ass.
Yeah, but it was kind of like, it was almost like they concocted this entity that's trying to do the right thing, but is effed up in the first place, because the moment you start saying things like, you better accept this message or you're toast. Again, with everything that was going on in the New Testament, that was one of the things that really bothered me, is that, okay, why would you say to somebody, believe this story or I'm going to hurt you?
That evangelism is just a campaign of threats.
But I mean, if you 1 second. If you study other religions, you can understand that the idea of heaven and hell was most likely borrowed from the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans. So you have the idea of Elysium and Tartarus. The only difference is that they didn't actually say, if you don't believe, we're gonna roast you. It was just for evildoers would end up in Hades or Tartarus. And the thing is, when you now study religion in the ancient Near East, you understand that Judaism actually borrowed a lot from its neighbors. It's a mishmash of things. But anyway, going back to where we were, just reading the whole thing was just like a eureka moment for me. And I remember thinking, okay, I don't believe any of this, but I couldn't tell anybody for a while. I kind of, mentioned it vaguely to some of my cousins, but they didn't take me seriously. They just thought I was just being silly.
Small boy, never know what's up. Don't worry.
But that was my story. It was actually reading the Bible that turned me away from Christianity.
The irony.
Because I read it and I thought, nah, even if this stuff is true, I think it's disgusting. And there's absolutely no way you can. The whole idea of God having chosen people really bothered me. I said, why? Why would you have, if everybody's, we're all your children. And then I remember thinking, what are the chances if all this stuff happened, right? Mm-hmm. So let's even imagine that it's all true. So the descendants of Adam and Eve started to spread around the world. And what happened? Did they forget? Because obviously parents pass stories down to their children, right? Mm-hmm. So would you think they would all take remnants of these stories along with them? So there would be Christians or a remnant of the story in Australia with the Aborigines. There will be a remnant of the story in India. There will be a remnant of the story with Native Americans. Yep. Do you understand what I'm getting at? So much so that nobody would have to come a couple of thousand years later to remind you that this is the real God, because you would already have, at the very least, some snippet.
Exactly. Like if the Europeans came and they came to Africa, they will now meet Africans with just a version of their same Bible.
Mm-hmm. Yes. There might be marked differences, but they would understand the story in the Garden of Eden. They would understand the story of the flood. They would have just so many similarities that you would be able to trace the evolution of all these other religions from the main religion in the Middle East. Right? Mm. So that was my thing. Why is it that these people had to come and tell us about all this stuff? We should already have some memory of it. Why is it that you go all over the world and everyone has different religions?
Yahweh was resting.
And some of them are just so markedly different from each other. And I was only thinking about this at 15, but I was still not sure. So I kind of just... You're young. You just go with the flow. And to be honest with you, sorry?
To avoid trouble.
Yeah. To avoid trouble. I never really kind of opened myself completely to the idea until I left Nigeria. But I already knew it was nonsense, because when we were in Celestial Church of Christ, and I'll never forget this. I don't know if you're familiar with the church at all. In Saleh, you have two kind of gowns. So you have the round neck.
Okay, There's Saleh and what's their name? Kerubu.
Yes, Kerubu.
One is round neck, one is like rectangle.
Four corner. Yeah, we call it four corner. So the four corners are for people who apparently are prophets. Oh. And I remember they gave all my siblings four corners and they gave me a round neck. And I was like, what the hell are they playing at? I want a four corner, damn it. And I remember saying to my cousin, I'm going to get that. He was like, no, what do you mean you're going to get that? Because the thing is, I used to listen to the messages that these so-called prophets deliver. And they're always very ambiguous. So that you can relate it to anything you like. It's almost like astrology. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to work the courage to start, when they start playing nice music, because you do get that euphoria. Yeah. When they're playing the music and the music really hits you, man. Oh, yeah. And everybody's jumping around like demented epileptics. I thought, yeah, man. Yeah. I started to practice my tricks. And to cut a long story short, I got it in the end. Oh. And I was just a child. And I remember thinking when I finally got it, and especially there's a picture of me somewhere, and I think I might have posted it on Facebook. You're not on my Facebook, of me preaching in the church as a teenager. Because I just thought, okay, you know what, I'm gonna have to stay here for a couple of years. I might as well just go with the flow. But once I left Nigeria, then the floodgates were just completely open. because then I realized that there's a lot more out there there's a lot more that I didn't know.
So,
but that was, sorry, go on.
No, I mean, like you the floodgate open, you saw more. Okay, like what are the things you got exposed to that kind of made you understand that you're actually making the right decision?
Because I went to university and I started reading a lot about ancient history and religion in the ancient world, and then that a lot of it just confirmed what I'd always thought. That obviously there were other religions and there were even older religions, and that. Even the ancient Israelites used to worship other gods before they adopted Yahweh. A lot of people don't know that.
They don't.
Yeah, they were not always Yahweh worshippers. They were actually worshiping.
I think they had a pantheon or something like that.
Yeah, they had a pantheon of gods, the Canaanite pantheon, with El as the supreme deity, and Baal. This is why you see all their names in the Bible, and you have Baal and the Moabites, I think, worship Chemosh and Asherah, Molech, and Asherah has been I think she's
Asherah
been
is white, right? I mean,
yeah, she's been scrubbed out. They've done a pretty good job of scrubbing her out. But yeah, just leaving Nigeria allowed me to kind of just let my mind roam free. And it wasn't even, people always assume it was science that did it for me. No, it wasn't even science. It was just studying religion, other religions that did it for me. And then I suddenly realized that what's happened is that we ended up with a tribal myth of a tribe in the Middle East, simply because the Romans picked up a variant of it, and because of the power of Rome and its influence in Europe, the Europeans picked it up, and because the Europeans then turned up in Africa hundreds and hundreds of years later, obviously some of them believed it was true, some of them probably didn't, and they just knew it was a means to power. And they gave us this they forced this religion on us.
Hold on. You are busting my head. You know, the picture, as you were talking, you know what was coming to our discussion of how COVID, the virus, is being transmitted from person to person to person to person to person. The fucking virus, man.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but this is what viruses do. They're just looking for a new host.
It's mutating.
We're just a house.
Fuck.
And they're looking for somewhere to squat.
So when did you tell your mom? When? How did this go?
Well, they started getting reports as soon as I left home. Because my brother, I think it was my brother that told. I told my brother. And because my mom would always go and be praying, and then in the end, I'm just like, oh, well, do you? They were like, oh, do you still go to church? No. Why don't you go to church? Because I think it's just a fairy tale. What? How? You can't say that. How can you? No. And what was it my brother used to say? I have to say this in Yoruba because this is what my brother used to say. You know, I love him dearly. He said, "I take muti first in Lori."
Abroad breeze is blowing you. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why
not realizing that. Yeah, not realizing that the journey began before I left Nigeria.
It's part of why I started this podcast for evidence, in case I'm...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. My journey began in Nigeria. I didn't read any book. I read the book.
Oh, shit.
So, because all you have to do... See, this is what people don't understand. If you read the Christian Bible with a little bit of critical thinking, a little bit of compassion and empathy for your fellow man, you have to come to the same conclusion that this is just nonsense. And it's not just nonsense. It is actually wicked nonsense, because some of the stories in the Bible are horrendous. Uzzah's trying to steady the ark. The cart that's carrying the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
And because the rule is that don't touch it, God smites him.
Imagine trying to be of help, be of use.
Yeah, Aaron's two sons burned a fire.
Yes, they burned the offering.
Yeah, he killed them. Onan didn't shag his brother's wife and make her pregnant.
Did not come inside his wife.
Yeah,
I remember that passage is very dear to my heart because that was my what the fuck moment.
And God was like, what was the other one? I always, every time I read it, I always laugh to myself. When the ancient Israelites allegedly left Egypt and they were wandering in the desert and they were hungry, so they were complaining to God, why have you brought us out of Egypt to come and suffer in the desert, blah, 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 we're hungry and we're thirsty. And God was like, how dare you complain? So he allegedly sent fiery serpents to bite them. And many of them died. And then I think, was it Moses who said to God, come on now, you can't just be killing us willy-nilly. And God said, oh yeah, wait. So he put, brass snakes on a pole. And whoever stares, bro, don't even get me started.
Is that why that pharmacy sign? Abi?
I don't know. I don't know. What do you think is related to that? No,
pharmacist logo. Is it pharmacist or hospital logo that has kind of a snake wound around a stick or something like that?
No, that probably came from like Hippocrates or ancient Greece or something. I don't know. I to be honest with you, I don't really know.
Okay.
But there were just so many stories and all the killing the Midianites and taking their women as virgins and some of the injunctions and the injunctions about slavery. I mean, I remember reading the injunction about slavery and I thought, no.
That doesn't make sense.
You can enslave people, foreigners that live in your land. You can enslave their children. You can pass them over like property, but you cannot treat your fellow Israelites that way. That did it for me, man. What the Bible has to say about slavery did it for me. There's absolutely no way on earth you can convince me that was dictated by any God. Well, any good God, anyway. But the thing is, we now have very good evidence that it's not true. See, my love of science came later. It was studying ancient history and studying religion that actually made me discard religion completely. And then, like you said, when did I tell my mom? Once I told my mom, my dad and I didn't actually have a proper conversation about it until 2007. And I remember this vividly because I went back to Nigeria for the first time. And I think I hadn't been home in 27 years or something crazy like that. And I went home and I read a lot. I read all the time. And I have travel with books. And my dad was like, what are these books that you're reading? Because obviously I had Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens and Sam Harris. And I had a whole bunch of books, man. And my dad wanted to lecture me. And I said, Dad, before you lecture me, give me half an hour so that I can tell you why I think the way I do. And 4.5 hours later, my dad he didn't know what to say. Because he's an evangelist in Celestial Church, but I was telling him stuff in the Bible that he didn't even know was in there. He didn't know literally 80% of the stuff I was telling him, he didn't believe it was in the Bible. I said, Dad, it's there, and I showed him. And then obviously because of my historical background and stuff, and I was saying to him, look, Dad, here's what we now know. We're not descended from Adam and Eve. As a matter of fact, Africa is the home of our species. And this is why we know that this is the case. And my dad is a very kind of easygoing man who will listen to, it doesn't necessarily mean he'll change his mind. He never did. But the one thing that he did do, he just, when I finished, he just shook his head and he said, da, boy. And I said, Daddy, what? He said, da, boy. You were a nightmare as a child. I knew you were going to turn out like this. And I was like, why? He said, apparently as a child, I used to just ask innumerable questions all the time. And he
really killed the cat.
And he actually said to me, he said, you will ask and ask and ask. He said, and then when we say, go to your room, you will say, you mean you don't know the answer?
Oh, shit.
because I was born in England, so obviously that kind of precociousness that you get from being raised in England and being able to say things to your parents.
Well, yeah, if I don't collect to say,
No. Yeah, by the time we lived in Nigeria for a couple of years, exactly. But he wasn't surprised, and he was actually very understanding. And he said, "I've learned a lot from our conversation, and I'll pray for you." And that was the last time my dad and I spoke about it. We never discussed it again.
He knows not to best with you.
Yeah. No, he just thought, look, listen, it is what it is. My mom obviously just didn't pay any attention to anything I had to say.
That's by fear, my mother.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, it's just some parents don't think their children know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so even when you're 40, 50, they still treat you like a child.
Typical, I swear.
But my mom, you know, she just does what she does. It doesn't bother me because, to be honest with you, I tell her all the time, I'm like, Mom, stop wasting your time. I know more about your religion than you do. She's like, oh, I like boasting. I said, it's not a boast, it's a fact. I know much more about your religion than you do. So there's nothing you can tell. You can sending me passages in your book or things that your pastors say is not going to do it for me. Because I said, I probably know more about the religion than they do.
Mm-hmm.
So you started, you boast all that. I said, no, it's just a fact. It's not a boast. You know, because they won't do the in-depth objective study that somebody like myself would do.
At all.
You know? No. My mentor was a Jew.
Oh.
You know, yeah. You know, and so we would do religious studies, and at the same time, because he studied genetics, we would do a bit of that. And I remember he would always used to make fun of me because he would say, "I don't understand you Africans." And he would say things to me like, "You swallowed our myths. You swallowed our myths. Listen to this." He would say, "You swallowed our myths, hook, line, and sinker, and then you lot ate the boat for dessert." And he really used to wind me up when he used to say that. Because he would always say things that... No, he didn't. He didn't. Because the thing is, what he found really intriguing is the fact that with all the new knowledge that we now have through science, and genetics and the fossil record, and we now know that Homo sapiens began in Africa. And we now know that Africans are the most genetically diverse population on Earth because that is the cradle of our species. He always says to me, this should be the thing that should get you people excited. This should be the thing that should get you enthused about learning and understanding your own. Because he was like, African history is human history.
Wow.
This is what you lot should be concentrating on. He said, but you're so busy babbling on about, you know, Arabian and Jewish myths, and what the hell's going on? He was actually very, very, what's the word? He really encouraged me to even go and further my studies. And he said, you should move back to Nigeria. And I was like, no. No. Thank you very much. He's like, no, but you're very passionate. I said, yeah, but no, it's okay.
He doesn't know that. It's not how he thinks.
No, I know, but he didn't understand it. He didn't understand how something that we should find exciting, that we should be proud of, because especially when you consider that for hundreds and hundreds of years, we were treated like dirt, because even when Christianity was first brought to us, to sub-Saharan Africa, they were questioning whether we actually had a soul. They were questioning whether, you know, we're going to be saved. You know, we were treated as less than human, and yet now we now realize that actually everybody came from here. And he thought that was very powerful. He thought it was very profound, and he just couldn't understand why it wasn't something that we were screaming from the rooftop in Africa. He couldn't understand why we were not teaching it in schools.
We don't know that this is where it is. We are here shouting, God of Israel, come to my rescue.
Yeah.
That is what we do here.
It's depressing. For me, it's very depressing. This is one of the I can't live in Nigeria, man. I mean, I don't know. Let me not speak too soon. Maybe someday.
Maybe.
But our overt religiosity really, really depresses me, because I think there is so much more about ourselves that we could learn, right? And we're not interested.
Yeah, not.
You know, we are more averse to our own history than any other people on earth. You know, we dislike evolution probably more than anybody, and yet evolution is the story of us.
So you believe we came from monkeys? Wow, they're still monkeys. Oh God. Oh God.
Well, you came from your grandparents. Why are your grandparents still alive? I mean, it's you know. But then again, that's actually not strictly correct. We're not descended from modern monkeys.
Yeah.
We are apes, and we just share a common ancestor with all the monkeys and apes that are alive today. You know, but most people who try to attack evolution don't really understand it anyway.
Of course, if they understood it, they would never attack it. So,
you know, because religion has told us we're special. You know, we were created out of mud,
yes, no, it's
clay,
if we are created by God, we did not evolve. Please.
You know, so, and the irony is the people that we borrow this religion from, most of them don't even believe it.
That is the
because
irony.
apparently most Israelis are atheists.
Yeah, secular Jews, both Jewish, secular Jews are everywhere. This does the cultural aspect they engage in.
Oh yeah, of course, which is fine.
Because their heritage, they don't want to lose it. But we,
you know, which is
Israel. Fine. Yeah, they are banning Isheshe people now.
I heard. Yeah, because they've told us that our ancient myths are demonic and evil. I mean, don't get me wrong. They're all nonsense. Or every single one of them, including Christianity and Islam.
Let it be our nonsense. Let it be our nonsense.
Well, I wouldn't advocate for us to go back there. Yes, the cultural aspect, yes, I get that in the dressing up and the celebrations. I get all that because it's beautiful. People do it in Brazil and Cuba and places like that. You know, all the saints in Cuba have Yoruba names. They are Yoruba orishas. You know, in Cuba, all their Christian saints actually have Yoruba.
Wow.
Yeah.
Christianity is really Android.
Because they mix it all up. You know, they took some Christianity and they took some of the Yoruba from
spliced it together.
They just, you know, they just merged everything together, which is what most religions do. I mean, we now know Judaism borrowed from here, there, and everywhere. I mean, just today we were talking about Zoroastrianism.
Yeah.
And how there's a lot of evidence that Judaism borrowed from Zoroastrianism. So the dualism that you have in Yahweh versus Satan. And
Ahura Mazda, who's the guy?
And Angra Mainyu or Ahriman. And Zoroastrianism even have the Holy Spirit, Spenta Mainyu.
Oh,
yeah, they have their own Holy Spirit. Yeah. They have their own. They have their own Holy Spirit. You know, there's nothing new under the sun, bro.
Those remixes upon remixes.
Yeah. There's nothing new under the sun. Yeah, heaven and hell, Elysium and Tartarus. You know, there's nothing new. Resurrection. Yeah. Resurrection is not new. You know. Moral codes are not new. There are moral codes that predate the Mosaic Law.
Yeah.
In fact, the 42 negative confessions of Ma'at from ancient Egypt is even more profound than the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments is a complete nonsense. It's trouble.
Insecure motherfucker, like, it's me.
The first three are just me. You know, it's just about him.
I am the Lord. You have to reminding them, I am the Lord your God, the one that brought you out of Egypt.
A God that most... Well, let me not say most. A lot of scholars think the ancient Israelites actually borrowed from somewhere else. You know, there is a school of thought to say that the ancient Israelites actually adopted Yahweh from a tribe somewhere in the desert called the Shasu. So Yahweh is not even original to Israel because El is their God. So when you hear Bethel, Uriel, Michael, Gabriel, Israel.
Really?
Israel, yeah, is these are theophoric names based on the Canaanite god El, because it should be Israyahu if it was Yahweh.
Oh.
Yeah, so in 1928, French archaeologists discovered a library of texts in a place called Ugarit. And what was discovered was that the Canaanite pantheon and what we now understand about Judaism have a lot of similarities. And as a matter of fact, if you want to understand some Hebrew words better, you go further back and read the Ugaritic texts, because they're literally the same. And scholars think that if you go back far enough, you won't even, because Hebrew is a Canaanite language, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're related. In fact, there are Jewish scholars who actually say, when they're talking about, they're going to the land of Canaan and they're going to take it from the Canaanites, that the Egyptians actually sprung out from Canaanite culture. So it's almost, I know, it's amazing, isn't it?
It blows my head.
Yeah, because they didn't, the ancient Israelites didn't just spring, Judaism didn't just spring out in isolation.
Yeah.
It sprung out of all the other stuff that was going on around it, So there's a reason why you see the names of all these gods in the Bible. Because it was almost like a way they were trying to purge memories of all the other gods that they used to worship. Remember the story about Moses went up into the mountain. When he came down, they made up a golden calf. That's actually part of the story, because El was called the bull. El was represented as the motif of a bull. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a lot of evidence to say that when they merged, when they finally finished, concocting Yahweh, they took some of the attributes of El. El was also a bearded man who lived in the sky. El was also like a yeah. It's a fascinating thing, learning about ancient religions, especially religion in that region. And there's no evidence.
So
that,
can I create a theory that Kal-El too is from
no, okay, now you're being ridiculous. No, you cannot do that.
No, that Israel,
yeah.
Jorel. Zorel.
No. Nice try though. But yeah, I mean it's fascinating. But going back to the story, that's how I told my dad. And so all my family have had a long time now to
accept,
to get used to it, but so
get used to it, but they've not yet accepted the reality still.
No, they have.
Ooh,
they have. They have. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. They've got no choice. I mean, every so often, my brother might say something jokingly, but they don't talk to me about it anymore. They don't question me anymore. They've just because they've just left me to.
Yes, they know.
Yeah, they've just left me to my own devices.
They do anyhow, they will see anyhow. So that's
no. I mean, to be honest with you, it used to be quite combative before, but now it's quite friendly now.
Okay.
Because before it used to really annoy me that my brother just won't let go. But I think, to be honest with you, I kind of get it. It's like in their mind, they're trying to help you.
To save you, yeah. It's coming from a place of love.
Yeah. It is. It's because they genuinely believe that if you don't join their club, you're going to be roasted forever.
Suya Meister.
Exactly. It's going to turn you into Suya.
I laugh my ass.
It's true now. When I was reading the passage in, Genesis 8, where after Yahweh allegedly drowned everybody, Yahweh and Noah finally found dry land. The first thing he does is he sacrifices. I'm like, give, and it was and the Lord savored a soothing aroma. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Sweet smelling sava.
And this it smells sweet though. No, come on.
It's like it's jacking off to it.
It's ridiculous. But it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that you would say that the creator of the cosmos drowned all his kids, and then after 150 days or whatever, the survivors finally find dry land, and the first thing they do is take one of the remaining animals that they managed to save.
Wait. Are we sure? Are we sure it's not a dinosaur he sacrificed?
Bro, don't even get me started on that, mate. See, the moment a creationist starts talking to me about dinosaurs on the ark, they don't know what they're talking about, because it's remarkable that they obsess about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, yes, are the most famous of prehistoric animals, but in the grand scheme of things, they are just one of many prehistoric animals. There were animals that lived before dinosaurs. Huh?
They're the only ones that left something behind for us to find.
No, they're not.
Oh, really?
Bro, they're not. Are you kidding me?
Oh, shit.
We know tons of animals that existed before dinosaurs even evolved. Tons. Phytosaurs, pariasaurs, rhynchosaurs. Sorry, I'm trying to get all the saws out of my head now. Gorgonopsians, even crocodiles. The lineage of crocodiles, some of them even came before dinosaurs.
Huh.
So there's a place in South Africa called the Karoo, where you can find rocks that are that old. Because when you go all over the earth, you have to know what you're looking for and where to look.
Yeah.
Because this is where the fossil record is a beautiful thing. So for example, you won't find dinosaur fossils mixed in with elephant fossils or lions or the mega mammals that we know of.
Yeah.
Saber-toothed cats, for example, or mastodons or mammoths or stegodons. The fossil record is absolutely amazing. Dinosaurs, mosasaurs, pterosaurs, ichthyosaurs. And don't even get me started on microfossils, which are tiny fossils.
That is another world of his own. The microverse.
The prehistoric, the record of prehistoric fauna on Earth is amazing, and it's even more amazing when you consider that fossilization is very rare. So we only have a snapshot of all the animals that ever lived. Okay, just as an example, crocodilians. Do you know that now we probably only have less than 10 different species of crocodiles left on the planet? There were hundreds different crocodiles that ran on 2 feet, herbivorous crocodiles. Yeah, herbivorous crocodiles that look like they almost have horns. Crocodiles that look like armadillos. Armadillosuchus is like a cross between a crocodile and a cute armadillo type thing. Caprosuchus, it looks like a croc, half pig, half croc. Sarcosuchus, which is like a giant crocodile about 40 foot long. And they didn't all live at the same time. This is what's beautiful. Elephants is another example. There were numerous different types of elephants, different families, well, not families is probably the wrong word, different species. Elephants with downward facing tusks, elephants with 4 tusks, elephants that didn't have tusks and they had shovels for teeth. Their teeth are shaped like shovels. So the Gomphotheres, bro, don't even get me started on the fossil record. That's a completely different episode. But what's fascinating is that you can trace the evolution of animals like elephants from the dinosaurs, for example. Do you know that when people think of dinosaurs, they think all dinosaurs lived at the same time? We know they didn't. So we can trace the evolution of dinosaurs from the earliest dinosaurs, which are literally dog-sized, and they got bigger and bigger. And through the fossil record, you can actually see it. Same thing applies to elephants. Basically, the sequential nature of the fossil record is rock solid. So when people start saying nonsense about this is why I don't debate, I don't engage. It's just a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of lies, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Because obviously they're gonna keep.
It's bad for business. It's bad for business.
You know, because as people say, we can throw all of science away, and it still won't say anything about the reality of what the Christian religion is trying to
be all lost. All the Bibles and all the books and all of us all the people that know of its existence die. It is gone.
You know, so
it's
no.
Gone. Yeah, anyway. Tevian, it's been a wonderful conversation.
I know. You need to sleep. You need to go to work. Me too.
So that I won't be here till 3 a.m.
Don't worry. We'll do another. Now you can just keep this.
Yeah.
And then we can carry on the conversation when next you're free. Like maybe even on Thursday. Whenever, bro.
Sure. But where can we find you online? Do you want to be found online?
Of course, you can find me online. Curiosity Feeds the Cat is on Instagram. I'm on literally Mastodon, Threads, Facebook.
Is Mastodon really
Well, no, I don't really use it much, but you can find my group. Curiosity Feeds the Cat is on Facebook. I post tons of stuff there. Tevian Oladapo on Facebook. Again, I'm easily found.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
In fact, I can send you the links now. Let me.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's nice. That's great. So yeah, it's been awesome. Thank you for.
No, bro. You don't need to thank me. Thank you for inviting me. Let me send you a couple of links. Give me 2 seconds before you go.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Please subscribe up Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, and other places podcasts are available. Check out the show notes for links you may find useful, especially our Discord. Would love to have you there. Have a great week, and I will catch you on the next one.